Hello peeps and welcome to a new video for Creatures Inc. I promise to create a new video every time we get an update, so here I am with the information about update 1.0.81c. In the previous update video I already told you guys that devs got rid of several floating trees and rocks and that their work was not finished yet. In this update they did more of that. On a lot of locations, floating trees and rocks got removed. This doesn't mean that all the floating trees and rocks will be gone now. No, so it's still necessary to keep reporting those bugs. If you want to report those locations, the best way to do it is making a screenshot of the floating rocks and or trees and making a screenshot of the map. That way the devs know where to look. You can upload those screenshots in the bug report section of the official Creatures Inc. Discord. I'll put the link in the description of this video. The devs also fixed a bug in which players got a crash after the intro video got shown after starting the game. According to the patch notes, that problem shouldn't occur anymore. Personally, I couldn't test this because I was one of the lucky ones, I guess, who didn't have that problem. The last thing the devs worked on in this patch is the color of the build menu. That color got changed from lila or purple to grey. These 3 points are actually the only thing that got done in this update. Don't get me wrong here. What I mean is that these are the only things I can talk about regarding this patch. But there is actually more news I can talk about. Very good news indeed related to the co-op mode in this game. If you want to co-op with friends now, it's not through dedicated server or anything. It's also not through peer-to-peer as I stated in my review video. This is something I have to set right, by the way. This game is currently programmed to work through an authoritative server. There are 4 different types of authoritative game servers. You have dedicated servers, you have listen servers, peer-to-peer servers and listen peer servers. This game runs through a listen server. Listen servers run in the same process as a game client. They otherwise function like dedicated servers, but typically have the disadvantage of having to communicate with remote players over the residential internet connection of the hosting player. Residential connections rarely support the upload requirements of a game with many players. Performance is also reduced by the simple fact that the machine running the server is also generating an output image. Furthermore, listen servers grant anyone playing on them directly a large latency advantage over other players and cease to exist when that player leaves the game. However, listen servers have the advantage of being essentially free and not requiring any special infrastructure or forward planning to set up, which makes them common at LAN parties, where latency and bandwidth issues are not a concern. They are also common in console games. I don't have to tell you that this way of working is not sufficient for Creatures Inc. There are lots of disadvantages with this system. For instance, co-op players in Creatures Inc. sometimes do not see the exact same thing, like a car that stands still for one player but is still moving for another player in that game. Or objects that are laying around for the one but not for the other player. And so on. Also, it is not that great for the not host that plays in a co-op game. The host is the only one who can save the game and therefore the only one who won't lose anything when closing down the game. The not host is not even able to save the game. The only 2 things he or she keeps after exiting the game is the amount of earned money and the amount of experience. Further than that, the not host will lose all other progress in the game, like build structures for example. Already since the beginning of this game, the community asked the devs to change this authoritative server system to a dedicated server. Dedicated servers simulate game worlds without supporting direct input or output except that required for their administration. Players must connect to the server with separate client programs in order to see and interact with the game. The foremost advantage of dedicated servers is their suitability for hosting in professional data centers, with all of the reliability and performance benefits that entails. Remote hosting also eliminates the low latency advantage that would otherwise be held by any player who hosts and connects to a server from the same machine or local network. Dedicated servers cost money to run. However, costs are sometimes met by games developers and sometimes by clan groups, but in either case, the public is reliant on third parties providing servers to connect to. For this reason, most games which use dedicated servers also provide listen server support. Players of these games will oftentimes host servers for the public and their clans, either by hosting a server instance from their own hardware or by renting from a game server hosting provider. The 23rd of April, the devs told us the following on their Steam news page. We are currently testing for the first time a prototype of our game on a dedicated server. I will let you know more details soon. Signed, Chief Beaver. This is wonderful news. Although a dedicated server wasn't planned somewhere in the near future, according to the roadmap the devs published a week ago, they are already trying some things out. That means that first of all, they are listening to the community, and secondly, they realize that their game could be so much better when running on a dedicated server. Hopefully, they get a lot of positive data from that prototype and they launch a dedicated server soon. This, together with a better way of saving the game for all co-op players during a game, would be a real game changer, which will also attract more players if you ask me. And last but not least, what are the devs working on this week? Well, according to the news post on the 21st of April, they will work on some major bugs, as the bug that prevents players from equipping a tool or a weapon in their hands, the weight of the backpack that doesn't add up, loading times that take way too long, and the client that gets rejected from the game frequently. So, ladies and gents, this is everything I got for you right now. Make sure to follow my channel carefully for more news in the future. See you all next time.